Step I. Mysticism of letters. I begin the first step with a description of the exercises in the normal, not the Hebrew, alphabet for QUABBAListic use, starting with the first letter which the QUABBAList will practice either seated in an asana or standing up. The color oscillation of letter A is light blue. The mode of practice is up to the individual and, as just mentioned, it may be carried out either by assuming the position of an asana seat or by taking up a standing position. You pronounce the A very long in spirit, at the same time imagining that by pronouncing it in spirit it takes on a light blue color and in this color extends to the whole room. After some practice you will not only fill the whole training room with this mental A, whose light blue color must shine like a light, but the whole universe. The experienced magician will not find this exercise difficult since he has learned to work with the elements and the light. If, by this exercise, you have attained some practice so that whenever you pronounce the A in spirit the light blue color at once fills the whole universe, you may proceed to the next exercise. This consists of uttering letter A into your body, that is, into your microcosm, and filling up your whole body, which you must regard as a hollow space, with letter A colored light blue. Having achieved the necessary practice in this, you learn to pronounce letter A, before your mind's eye, through your mouth so that it will at once fill the whole universe with a light blue color oscillation. Now you teach yourself the contrary, that is, you sense the whole universe in a light blue color being letter A which you breathe or suck into your body, or microcosm, which is like a hollow space. You must get quite familiar with this deductive and inductive way of speaking by your mouth and your whole body. In these exercises you never pronounce the letter materially, but the whole process takes place in your spirit, that is only in your mind. As soon as you have sufficient practice in this, you will proceed to cause an accumulation and resolution of light in the universe similar to what I have described in my first book, Initiation into Hermetics. In this exercise you learn to pronounce a letter, in this case it is letter A, spiritually giving it simultaneously a special shape. In doing so, you may imagine that the whole universe is filled with a light blue color. When pronouncing letter A, the light blue color will shrink to the size and shape that you want it to have. In this intellectual process of plasticizing, one may first imagine the A mentally several times and with every repetition intensify the imagined plastic color until the desired shape is attained. The question of the actual shape attained is not so important. It is up to the student himself to have the light blue color condensed either to a little ball or flame, a small cloud or any shape he wants. At any rate, you will have to learn to condense the letter in its relevant color by your imaginative faculty or plasticizing in the micro as well as the macrocosm and to resolve it again later. By this process of condensation you will learn to give the letter the dynamics and power of expansion suiting it. The QUABBAList will realize how important this is if he has learned how to get a formula to work dynamically. If the QUABBAList masters the exercises with letter A perfectly in the way described, he will pass on to doing the same exercises with the next and each subsequent letter. The practice is the same, and I will therefore not repeat it, but just give the color oscillation pertaining to each letter that is to be used in practice. The QUABBAList imagines the second letter, that is, letter B, to be in a wonderful light violet color and does the same exercises as with letter A, that is, 1. In the experimenting training room, 2. In the whole universe, 3. In the body as internal hollow space, 4. Inductively and deductively, materializing and dematerializing it. The third letter is letter C, which has to be practiced in a vermilion color. The fourth letter, that is, letter D, has to be practiced in a dark blue color oscillation. The QUABBAList will realize that these exercises become easier the more frequently he repeats them, so that he will have no difficulty at all doing the exercises with all the letters that follow. He need only change the color with each letter. E is the fifth letter. It is expressed by a dark violet color. Letter number 6, the F, is to be practiced in a light green color. F thus oscillates in a light green color and has always to be differentiated from G, the seventh letter of the alphabet, which must be practiced in a grass green color. The eighth letter is the H. It must be practiced in a silver-violet shade. You must not confound it with the letter B, which must have a light violet color, whereas the H is to be practiced in a somewhat darker violet shade with a silvery glitter. The same applies to the CH. The 10th letter is letter I, the cosmic color of which is light opal. Opal colors have a hue of green, red, blue and violet, that is, they have a light spectrum. Each quabbalist should commit this complex of colors well to his memory to be able to work the easier with the eye. Since opal colors represent nearly all colors, in the Hebrew QUABBALAH the I, or Jud, was regarded as the first letter from which all other letters have been derived. The J, the 11th letter, also has an opal color oscillation which is, however, somewhat darker. The difference in color between the I and the J is easy to perceive. In the 12th place is the K, which has to be imagined in a silvery blue color. The 13th letter, the L, is to be practiced in a dark green color oscillation. The dark green of this letter is an intense green which reminds one of the green of an olive. The M is letter number 14, with a blue-green color oscillation. The blue-green of M reminds one of the color of the sea, and it is not without good reason that in the analogy of the elements the M is attributed to the water principle. The N, being the 15th, is to be practiced in a red, flesh-colored oscillation. The color oscillation of the O, the 16th letter, is a dark ultramarine. The P, the 17th letter, has a dark gray color oscillation. In QUABBALAH, the Q is not regarded as an individual but as a combined letter, consisting of K and U. Therefore, Q is not to be practiced. The 18th letter of our alphabet is the R, which the QUABBAList has to imagine in a golden color, shining wonderfully. The S is the 19th letter. It has to be practiced in a purple-red color until it is mastered perfectly. The SH, the 20th letter, is a combined letter as far as spelling is concerned, but it plays an important role in the QUABBAListic language. SH has a blazing red color oscillation and is attributed to the pure fire element in QUABBALAH. The 21st letter, letter T, is to be practiced in a brown-black color. Letter number 22, the U, will be practiced in an ivory-black color, but the black has to be sensed as color and not as a vacant space. The 23rd letter, the V, is a variety of the F and is therefore also practiced in a light green color. The W, the 24th letter, must be practiced with a lilac color oscillation. V is only a phonetic variety of W and is no letter of its own, seen from the QUABBAListic angle. The same is true of the X, the 25th letter, for it is a combination of K and S and is not regarded as a single letter from the QUABBAListic point of view. The Y or U, the 26th letter, has to be practiced in a pink color oscillation. Letter Z is to be practiced in a lemon yellow, that is, a light yellow color oscillation. Finally, the umlaut O, and the ash are diphthong combinations of letters in spelling but only single sounds, monophthongs, when spoken, namely like in pert, and A, like in rack. The O has to be practiced in a dark orange shade and the ash in a light brown hue, color of loam. If the QUABBAList has gone through all the letters in the way described, so that he is able to evoke each letter that he pronounces in his spirit in its respective color oscillation, he may begin with the next exercises. As soon as the student of the QUABBALAH has gone through all the letters in the colors indicated and has learned to apply them deductively, that is, to project them from his body into the universe and, vice versa, to lead them from the universe into his body and condense them, he carries on as follows. He conducts the letters, in the same way, into the different regions of his body, taking into consideration their analogous relationship to the elements. Note of the publisher: unfortunately this textbook contains some mistakes, particularly concerning the relation of the elements to some letters. The original manuscript is no longer available, therefore a correction cannot be undertaken at present. Since the practice of QUABBALAH should only be started by magicians of the 8th step of initiation into Hermetics, real dangers are not to be feared. Nevertheless, it is recommended as a precaution to consult a suitable head of the Earth Zone before stepping into practice.
Tetragrammaton. Note the following tables offer a comparison of the elemental attributes listed by Franz Bardon in 3 sections of The Key to the True QUABBALAH, 1986 edition. The student can make his own determinations of the correct allocations, pages 72 to 75, Fire, CEKNOOSHSY Air, AFKLWL Water, BFHMR Earth, DGIJPTU Akasa, CHRU pages 87 to 91, Fire, CDHKSSHT Air, ACLZ Water, GCHJMNW Earth, BFIOOPY Akasa, EOUY pages 94 to 96, Fire, CDHKSSHT Air, AHLZ Water, GCHJMNW Earth, BFIOPRYOE Akasa, EUPP. 250, Fire, HSSHT Air, ACHL Water, GMNW Earth, FIRE. The student start again with letter A, appertaining to the air element, and conducts it to the air regions of the body, that is, into the chest, where he pronounces it intellectually and imagines it to be in a light blue color. Having imagined the existence of the light blue color in his chest for a longer period, he may resolve it again by his imagination. He must have the impression that a light oscillation of the blue color has completely disappeared from his chest. In a further exercise, he starts to speak the in his mind and to invoke the light blue oscillation in his chest. Whenever pronouncing the in his mind, the light oscillation of the blue color will be intensified in the region of his chest. However, this condensation must not have any influence on the color. It must only retain its power of expansion, which will increase from exercise to exercise. All these exercises must, of course, not affect his breath. They must not make the student try to hold his breath at the moment of accumulation. The student will be overcome by this temptation only at the beginning. Later, when he has got used to evoking dynamics of whatever type inside or outside of his body, obstructions like irregular breathing or undesirable muscle tension, ASO, will not occur anymore. After having condensed the in its light blue color to a point where it resembles a pneumatic tire pumped full, he makes it resolve again in the universe by pronouncing it. In a further exercise, the student imagines the cosmic A, in its light blue color, expanded into the whole universe and tries to get it into the region of his chest by breathing it in through his mouth or nose. A few quiet breaths will suffice and the student will have filled the chest region with the light blue color oscillation. When breathing in the color oscillation of the letter A, one has to breathe in the normal manner, that is, without any special effort or holding of one's breath. Also deep breathing has to be avoided, for the student would find this disturbing later on. Having succeeded in doing this after a number of exercises, the student passes on to no longer getting the light blue color oscillation of letter A into his chest by breathing it in through his mouth or nose, but through the circumference of his chest region, similar to breathing through the pores. Also in this case, the student must try to achieve sufficient dynamics by repeatedly using his imaginative faculty. In short, the student must be capable of drawing any letter oscillation into the respective region of the body and emitting it again, inductively and deductively, in a simple or condensed state. These exercises have to be repeated until such a proficiency is achieved that the student can do all the kabbalistic tasks mentioned so far with effortless ease. Outash with its loamy brown light oscillation appertains to the earth element and is to be practiced in the earth region of the body, which starts from the coccyx, expanding over the thighs and shanks down to the soles of the feet, until it is mastered completely. Letter B with its violet light oscillation is analogous to the water element, which influences the whole region of the abdomen. The exercises are similar to the ones described for letter A concerning the region of the chest and have to be repeated until mastered faultlessly. The C with its vermilion light oscillation is assigned to the fire element, to which pertains the head region. It has to be practiced in the same way as letter A.
I may point out once more that the student must charge the relevant region of the body with the respective color oscillation dynamically and must later resolve it again into the universe. If he omits the dissolution, he will cause a disturbance in the harmony of the elements in his microcosm, and the dynamics, the power of expansion, may have discordant effects in him, which could have detrimental consequences not only for his mental and astral, but even for his material existence. He need not become ill right away, but he would certainly get the feeling of disharmony. This remark is to warn and, at the same time, to encourage the student that he should always carry through his exercises conscientiously. The future Quabbalist is dealing with powers whose full scope he will learn to know at a later date. The next letter to be practiced is letter D with its dark blue color oscillation. D is subjected to the earth element and has to be trained like out A, that is, from the coccyx down to the soles of the feet. The with its dark violet oscillation is analogous to the fire element and has therefore to be practiced, like C, in the fire region, that is, in the head. Now follows letter F with a light green color oscillation. Since it appertains to the water element, it is therefore practiced in the water region, in the whole abdomen, as is letter B. Letter G oscillation is a grass green color and belongs to the earth element. Like E and D, it is therefore practiced in the described manner in the earth region of one's own microcosm, that is, from coccyx to soles. The difference between F and G is that F is light green, one should say almost yellowish green, whereas G has a grass green, a rich green color light oscillation. At all events, the student must at once be able to tell the F from the G by the different color oscillation. The H with its silver-violet light oscillation corresponds to the water element and is therefore practiced in the abdominal region, like the letters B and F. The CH has a violet color oscillation and thus appertains to the Akasa principle and is to be practiced in the region between abdomen and chest, in the so-called pit of the stomach or solar plexus. This region is also called the medial section and forms some sort of intermediate region. The student imagines letter I in an opalescent color light oscillation in which the light hues are dominating. The I appertains to the earth element and therefore belongs to the earth region, just like the letters E, D and G, that is, coccyx to soles of feet, but it is to be trained specially in both feet. Similar to letter I, also the J has an opalescent color oscillation. Its shade, however, is somewhat darker than that of the I. The J, too, appertains to the earth element and therefore belongs to the earth region of the microcosm, where the exercises with it have to take place. Letter K has a silver-blue color light oscillation and does not appertain to just one pure element, but is controlled by two elements, namely the fire and the air principle. The relevant regions of the body are the head and the chest. Exercises with K have therefore to be concentrated on these two regions. Now follows letter L, which has a dark green, let's say, olive green color light oscillation. It appertains to the air element and thus belongs to the air region, like the A and the K, that is, it has to be trained in the chest. Going by the alphabet, the exercise with letter M, which must have a blue-green light oscillation analogous to the water element, come next. Like the letters B, F and H, the M has to be practiced in the abdominal region. Then follows letter N in dark red color light oscillation. The N is subject to the fire element and, like C, E and K, must be practiced in the head region until mastered perfectly. Also letter O with its ultramarine color light oscillation appertains to the fire element and is practiced in the head region like C, E, K and N. Its ultramarine color has to be discriminated from light blue and dark blue. The O is the second umlaut and has a dark orange-colored light. It is subordinated to the fire element and is practiced in the fire region, that is, in the head, like C, E, K, N and O. The next letter in the alphabet is P, which has a dark gray color light oscillation and appertains to the earth element. Like the letters Ash, D, G, I and J, P is to be practiced in both legs starting from the thighs and down to the soles of the feet. The R with its golden light oscillation has first to be practiced in the Akasa principle, that is, the intermediate region or solar plexus, and later, when this is mastered perfectly, in the water region, the abdominal region, like the letters D, F, H and M. Letter S with its purple light belongs to the fire element and must therefore be practiced in the fire region. The head, like the letters C, E, K, N, O, and O's, O. SH has a blazing red light oscillation and is subordinated to the fire element. Like the S, it is to be practiced in the head. There is a difference between S and SH in color. The S has a purple color coming very near to brick red, whereas SH has a blazing red, or glowing red, shade. In the Sefer Jezira, SH is attributed to the pure fire element. In the Akasa principle, that is, God in his creativeness, has created the fire element by this letter. The following letter, the T, has to be practiced in a dark brown light oscillation. T appertains to the earth element and must therefore be practiced in the earth region of the microcosm, that is, both legs, like with letter Ash, D, G, I, J and P. Next in this series is letter U with its shining black, velvet black, light oscillation. The location of the exercises is first in the intermediate region, the solar plexus. After the exercises in the Akasa region, letter U has to be practiced, like E, D, G, I, J, P and T, in the earth region. W with its lilac light oscillation is subordinated to the Akasa principle as well as to the air principle. Therefore, this letter has to be practiced first in the Akasa region, that is, the intermediate region or solar plexus, and after having learned to master this, in the air region, that is, the chest, as has been done with letter A, K and L. The Y stands also for the mu out U in QUABBAListic pronunciation and is practiced in a pink-colored light oscillation in the fire region. The head, like letters C, E, K, N, O, O, S and SH, since it is subordinated to the fire element. The last letter of the alphabet, the Z, has a light yellow or lemon light oscillation. It is controlled by the air element and must therefore be practiced in the air region, the chest. Z must not be confused with C, which has a vermilion light oscillation. Z with its light yellow or lemon light oscillation has to be pronounced with a humming, that is, a soft voice, similar to S. Having completed all the exercise described here with each letter of the alphabet, the student of the QUABBALAH has concluded one full stage in QUABBAListic practice and may pass on to the following exercises. These presuppose that the student has at least some fundamental knowledge of human anatomy. If this is not the case, he will have to catch up on this. He may gain this knowledge from any book teaching the anatomy of man. It would be ridiculous if a student of QUABBAListic mysticism did not know where in the human body the liver, kidney, ASO, are to be found. In the exercises that follow, occult anatomy is taken into consideration. The procedure is the same as with the exercises with each letter and elemental regions. If the student of the QUABBALAH would want to do the exercises next to these without having the faculty of transferring his consciousness into the organ that he is practicing with, his efforts would be without success. Therefore, the QUABBAList will find it quite justified that I now make mention of my first book of Introduction, Initiation into Hermetics, by which he was taught how to practice the transfer of his consciousness, and therefore it will not now be difficult for him to deal with the individual organs also QUABBAListically. Someone who wants to follow QUABBAListic mysticism without any preparation must practice the transfer of his consciousness before taking up any QUABBAListic exercises. Otherwise he would never succeed in mastering visionary QUABBAListic exercises leading to a manifestation of the principle of will in the micro and the macrocosm. The second and last stage of the first step deals with this practical manifestation, that is, the use of the letters in each organ, which then has to be enlivened and brought under control in analogy to the universal laws. The practice is as follows: you begin again with the first letter of the alphabet, with letter A, which now has not to be practiced in the whole region of the chest but in the lungs alone. The student transfers himself with his whole consciousness into each lobe of the lungs and feels and senses like a lung and does his exercises there. The air in its light blue color is again breathed in imaginatively from the universe into each lobe of the lungs and later again resolved into the universe. If the experiment is a success, the dynamics is also formed in this exercise by condensation of the light blue color oscillation, that is, in the beginning, by the help of the breath drawn in through mouth or nose and, by imaginative breathing through the pores. One does not pass on to the second or any following letter unless the air has been treated in the lobes of the lung in full accordance with the way and manner described. The next letter is mu-out-ash, which has to be practiced in the same way as the A, but with loamy brown light oscillation and in the anus. The B, in its light violet color oscillation, is to be practiced in the right eye filling the whole eyeball. The C, in a vermilion color oscillation, is to be practiced in the stomach. The exercises with letter D have to take place in the right ear in a dark blue color oscillation. Exercises in the ear do not merely extend over the external ear, but over the whole auditory organ. The E, in a dark violet color, occurs a violet, light oscillation is practiced in the whole spine, that is, from coccyx upwards to the back of the head. Letter F, with its light green color, is practiced in the left hand. The G has a grass green, deep green, color light oscillation and is practiced in all the phases in the left eye. Letter H, with a silvery violet light color oscillation, is to be practiced in the whole right eye, that is, starting from the shoulder down to the fingertips. Now follows letter CH, with whose violet light color oscillation the exercises have to be carried out in order to enliven, and get under control, the whole left leg, from the thigh down to the tips of the toes. The location of the exercises with letter I and its light opalescent color light is the left kidney, into which one's consciousness has to be transferred. It is somehow more difficult with letter J with its dark opalescent light, which must be practiced in the midriff, diaphragm. The midriff consists of a thin-walled skin into which the QUABBALAH student has to transfer his consciousness in order to enliven it. He should not pass on to the next letter unless he is sure that he also masters the exercises in the diaphragm. Letter K with its silvery blue color light oscillation, is trained in the left ear. Since the student is already experienced in this, having learned to enliven his right ear with letter D, it will not be difficult for him to enliven his left ear. In order to enliven the spleen, letter L is practiced with a dark green, olive, colored light oscillation. The location of the exercises with letter M, in a blue-green light oscillation, is in the hollow space of the abdomen, but on no account in the gut. To make the exercises with the M easier for him, the student must imagine the abdomen to be a hollow space without intestines and any other organs like the gut, gall, etc. The next letter to be practiced is the N with its dark red color light oscillation. After having transferred one's consciousness into the liver, this organ will be enlightened. The pharynx is the location of the exercises with letter O and its ultramarine light oscillation. Kabbalistically seen, the pharynx includes the whole throat including the windpipe. Mu-out O, in dark orange oscillation, is to be practiced like all other letters, its location of practice being in the testicles of men and the ovaries of women respectively. It rests with the student either to enliven one testicle alone or both testicles at the same time. With regard to the female genitals, however, it would appear to be of advantage to enliven and master the left ovary first and then the right one. P is practiced in dark gray color light oscillation in the right side of the nose. The left side of the nose is reserved to exercises with letter R, in a golden color light oscillation. Now follows letter S in purple light color oscillation. It is to be practiced in the gall. With letter SH, blazing red color light oscillation, the brain is enlivened, that is, the cerebellum as well as the cerebrum, that means the whole inside of the head. The right kidney is worked at by letter T, in brownish black light color oscillation. Letter U, with its velvet black, or shining black, light oscillation, is provided for enlivening the pancreas, situated in the solar plexus, the pit of the stomach. Using the lilac-colored light oscillation of the W, the student has to enliven the whole gut, starting from the duodenum and including the great gut up until the rectum. Letter Y or out U is to be practiced in pink-colored light oscillation in the heart. Finally, the last letter of the alphabet, letter Z, with its light yellow color oscillation, is also practiced in the heart. In this way, the student of QUABBALAH has gone through the whole alphabet and its analogies to the body and has learned, in practice, to transfer his consciousness into any organ of his body, and to be active in it in a magic kabbalistic manner. By these practices, the kabbalist attains the ability to know, enliven and master any organ in his own body as well as in the body of somebody else. The exercises in transferring one's consciousness into each organ usually cause blood congestion in the organ concerned, which is generally sensed as warmth, sometimes even as heat, since by transferring his consciousness into it, all the kabbalist's attention is concentrated on it. The blood congestion sensed as warmth is erroneously regarded by many mystics as a certain divine power. However, it has nothing to do with this, for it is just a physiological and psychological reaction. The kabbalist will therefore pay no attention to this overpressure with blood and regard the warmth as a natural attendant symptom of his exercises. The expansiveness of the power congested in the organs will not do him any harm, it will be completely innocuous for him. After all, the kabbalist has learned to cause condensation or accumulations of the various types, electrical, magnetic, of elements and of light, so that his body already possesses a certain grade of elasticity and resistance, thanks to the individual powers. Anyone to whom the above words apply, may do all the exercises described so far, which he will even regard as a blessing in every respect. The student may query why the exercises are not carried through in the body, taking one organ after another, that is, from head to foot, or vice versa. The answer is that it is more advantageous for the practicing kabbalist if he follows the sequence of letters, and thus changes over by bounds from one organ to another, evading a gradual congestion of blood in the organs of his body. By changing over from one organ to another, for instance to an opposite one, the feeling of congestion will drop in the preceding organ. It may happen now and again that by transferring one's consciousness into a certain organ and enlivening it, apart from a feeling of warmth, there arises a feeling of pain. This would be a signal that the respective organ or part of the body is either oversensitive or even diseased, without a symptom showing or the disease being otherwise detectable. In such a case, before proceeding any further, the kabbalist had better effect repeatedly a congestion of light energy in the diseased organ with the imagination for a complete recovery of the same. By the help of his imaginative faculty, the diseased organ will be healed by repeated accumulation of light energy in such a way that the kabbalist can carry on with his exercises in it. A second question may arise, namely, what would have to be done in cases where an organ had to be removed by an operation? In such a case only the mortal frame, that is, the material form, has been removed, but the astral function of the organ still exists, and the student has to enliven the organ in the same way as if he still had it physically. In the exercises, he just imagines the organ to be in the place appertaining to it. In this connection, people who have had an arm or a leg amputated will sometimes have the same pains as if they still possessed that arm or leg materially. Such sensation of physical pain in the amputated places physiologists call subjective overstrain of the nerve cord. The Hermetic knows, however, that in the astral world the missing material organ still exists in its astral shape. It may well be that some of those readers who are engaged in astrology take offense at the fact that the colored light oscillation described by me in respect to each letter sometimes do not agree with astrology. I should have to oppose such a remark with the statement that Kabbalistic mysticism has nothing to do with mantic astrology. All the Kabbalistic exercises of step I of this book will strengthen the principle of volition in the Kabbalistic mystic to the highest degree. Furthermore, they will make him acquire the ability of using the letters in a Kabbalistic sense, in the micro and macrocosm, by the help of their color oscillation, this being the aim of all the exercises of step I.